This is out of my paper bag or my plastic bag, and it's still really squishy still, but it's a little bit firmer. But I wanted to show you how to add things to it before you start taking away. So before we do this, you can get a popsicle stick. You can get anything that's got like a round edge to it. And what you can do is you can take your finger and you put it on here and just kind of push down. Do you see that? And it'll start making teeth. So they don't have to be real perfect teeth. And if that doesn't work, you can try other tools. But you kind of want to have this like rounded feel to it. So you want to take your hand and do that number to it. And I don't like that. So that's becoming the top teeth. And then for the bottom, I can make little U shapes. Now your teeth kind of match. So like where from gum line to gum line, they kind of line up. So you have something that looks like that. And then what you're going to do is just take, your teeth are not completely flat, right? So I'm just going to take the end of this wooden tool here. If you don't have something like this, you can use a popsicle stick. All right, and then I'm going to, this is starting to look a little bad. I'm not becoming a real friend of these. Might have to rework this guy. You can create each individual tooth like this. Okay, so let's say I don't like that guy. And I'm like, oh, I don't like that. You can take it, if it's still kind of movable, you can real gently come in and clean this up. And you can find a better tool to use. I didn't like that at all. Now here's another option too, is you can draw it in. You can so like if I was to draw my teeth, I would just take it and draw something like that and then push those little okay, so I can do something like that. But I'm going to show you guys how to do a different version in just a minute. I gotta find a popsicle stick for this. Okay, so now I can come in and I can take some extra clay. And let's say I want to create little dots around here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my clay and I'm going to roll it. But here's the thing. You can just take a sharp edge or whatever you have that's got a sharp point to it. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take this and I'm going to have to score it and then score it here. Do you see? And then I have to add a little bit of water or slip. Slip is where you take your clay and then you let it get soggy. So with this, now I'm going to take this, I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to just go twist back and forth. And then I'm going to pat it. Okay? If I take two pieces of clay and I stick it together, they'll stick. But when they dry, they'll pull apart. And you want them to stick and stay. So I'm going to do this. Okay, so now once your clay starts getting a little bit harder, what you can do is you can take a needle tool or something that's got like sharp and pointy, and you're just going to take it and create a circle, and then you're going to pull this out. My clay is a little soft. Yours should be a little bit harder than this. Okay, so now I've got the first eye cut out. And then you want to clean up your edge with your finger, and you can get your finger just a little bit wet. And right here I accidentally messed up and I made his nose push in the wrong angle. So you can come back in and push in areas you messed up on. So like his mouth was getting a little bit too pushed in. So I can come in here and do that, okay? So I'm going to fast forward again, and I'm going to show you once I get this other eye done. Okay, so now I've got both of the eyes done. So now once that gets harder, I can come in and I can pull this one out. Now if you pull out the eyes a little too early and you start making your indentions and stuff, I mean all your cutting, you can actually hurt your clay because it'll be too soft. So make sure your clay gets a little bit firmer than what I'm doing even. Okay? So what I wanted to show you, so let me get the nose out. And the nose is almost like an upside down heart. And you don't have to cut the nose out. You can just do an imprint. But to me, I like having the nose done, okay? So, once this is done and this is dried up a little bit more, you can take and start carving out areas in here, and I'll show you that in a little bit of how to carve out certain areas. You can take your finger and lightly dip it in water. You don't want to have too much water, and you can just real simply come in here and clean up some of your edges. Now here's a tip: if you have fingernails, you're going to end up putting dents into your project. So you probably want to cut your fingernails. Now if you're a girl and you get your nails done, or a boy, you get your nails done, then you're probably going to want to use a tool versus your finger, okay? So I'm going to find a popsicle stick and I'll show you how to do the teeth, and then we'll let that rest up too while we're waiting on everything. This will work. That's a little too big. If you wanted big teeth, you can use the big end of a popsicle stick, which actually that might look kind of cool. There we go. That's a little bit better. So now you have some teeth. And see how there's all these little like pieces? Don't worry about those. Just let them dry off and you can push them off with your finger once they're dry. Okay, so now once I've got everything added on here, I'm going to let it dry out again just a little bit. I don't want it to get too hard, so don't leave it and forget it. You want to be able to carve into it. And then I'll show you how to cut out the backside, and we're almost done. So this should have a lot of detail, a lot of research behind your Day of the Dead skull and why it might mean something to you. And if not, then just think about how much fun it is. Okay? So, Day of the Dead skull in the beginning stages, almost done. And that's your second or third half of your how-to video.